Well, the mission of the Justice League is to help ensure that the constitutional, statutory, and inherent rights of victims of violent crime are upheld throughout the criminal justice process. And that actually is from the time of first report to, say, a hospital or to law enforcement through post-release control.
Why did you start the Justice League?
Based on a personal experience. I was a victim of crime for 10 years. When I was finally 23 years old, finally had the courage to report. And although I was within the statute of limitations, there was nothing done. Primary reason for reporting was to protect the child that I knew was being assaulted by the same man, and basically had to take on a 3-year battle in order to get this person held accountable. And through that process realized that there was not a place for a victim to report if they felt that their rights were being violated. There was no system of oversight and accountability pertaining to victims' rights. When the case was finally concluded and we had a wonderful investigator come in, he had discovered that from the time I first reported until the time we finally had him held accountable, that he had sexually assaulted 27 other children within that time frame. Children that didn't need to be victims, had the system worked appropriately in the beginning.
Tell me a little bit about the project that the Ohio State Bar Foundation provided funds for support.
Even though victims' rights laws have been in place now for over 18 years, the majority of criminal justice officials are not aware of them. So training is a major component. So part of that funding is used to provide training to hospital personnel, law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, and victims advocates, and counselors around the state, so that they are fully aware what victims' rights are, and making sure that we have consistent application of victims' rights laws. So the training was great, greatly appreciated the funding, and wonderful things came out of the training. Even better relationships. You can imagine some prosecutors or some judges might not be too fond of victims having their own legal representation to uphold their rights in courts. But out of this, met judges that were just very supportive and wonderful. One who actually even called me this morning asking for some information regarding a particular right of crime victims. And another prosecutor out of Cuyahoga County that has a very strong opinion and belief now that crime victims do deserve and require their own legal counsel to uphold their rights. So it's been very effective.
What are some of the things that you would like either crime victims themselves or just in general the public to know about crime victim rights?
I think the most important thing that the public should know about crime victims' rights is, first of all, that they have rights. Most victims have no understanding that they have very specific legal rights. And unfortunately today we're still not doing a great job notifying of the victims of their rights, even though statutorily, the moment a crime victim first reports, law enforcement is to be notifying them of their rights and giving them a booklet which explains their rights. The biggest thing I find when I do the training around the state is that's not being done. So as working within the criminal justice community to help them understand they have statutory obligations to victims, first being notify the victim they have rights. Well, then if a victim sees a right that's violated, they need a place to go for assistance. So the most important thing is for just the general community is know that you have rights. Seek out those rights. And if those rights are not being protected, then they can come to our organization and we will help them be able to protect and preserve those rights, and we will provide free legal representation for them.